Hello guys and welcome to another video. My name is Mark, I'm an entrepreneur and property investor. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how I would get started investing in property if I had £30,000. And the way I'm going to talk about it is I'm going to address two types of people. I'm going to address first of all those people that maybe don't have a main residence, that maybe are young, single, or maybe got a partner, just starting out in life and maybe just starting their journey. The second group of people I'm going to talk to are going to be the people that have maybe got a first resident, maybe they've got kids and they now got saved up £30,000 and they're looking to invest that money. So I'm going to talk to both groups of people because I think the journey is different depending on where you're starting. Now, if you like this sort of video, please give this video a big like. It really does help me out with the algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed, consider subscribing. Remember, you can book a free 15-minute call with me. Just click the link in the description and me and you can connect on Zoom at a time that's convenient to yourself. That's until I've got 10,000 subscribers and I'm on 6,200, so I'm not sure how long that's going to last. So book it today. Now let's start with the first group of people, and I'm going to speak to my own journey here. When I bought my first property, it was in a town called Erith, which is in Zone 5 in London. I had the choice, I was working in Canada Water, to either buy a studio apartment in Canada Water or a 3-bedroom house in Erith. And I chose to buy a 3-bedroom, and the reason was, I could rent out the spare bedrooms. So by doing this, what I essentially did was create over £1,000 worth of revenue every single month when my mortgage was only 653, I remember the exact number, and my bills all inclusive were less than the income I was making from the rent, even when you took into consideration the tax. And remember, in the UK, you do get a lodger's allowance, which at the time of me reading this, I've just looked it up, is £7,500 a year, which is a huge tax-free lump of money. So I went out and I did that as the first part of my journey. I took a property, we bought it at a good discount in 2010, we paid £176,000 for the house, and we rented out the 2 spare bedrooms. By doing that, I was already renting for like £750 a month in Canada Water. That bill went. We then created a mortgage of 653. We had bills on top, which maybe took it to somewhere around 1,000. We had an income of about £1,100 a month coming in from renting the 2 spare bedrooms. So that meant that essentially I was about £1,000 a month better off than when I was renting. And that's before we took into consideration the capital appreciation. Now, the other great advantage with buying the residential property and doing it that way as your first move is that you can leverage to a much higher extent. So we bought £176,000 and we only put down £17,500 as a deposit. Well, again, this gives us an opportunity, doesn't it? We then got a bit of money on top to make renovations. So if I was just starting out and I fell into that category of person, I would look for an area where I could buy a property, rent out the spare bedrooms, make sure that I got that lodger's allowance of tax-free money, but I would also make sure, depending on location in the country, if I had money left over, that I could find something that I could add value to. So if I could buy it for 100, spend 20, and make it worth 140, 150 at the end of the renovations, then that would be a great way for me to recycle that £30,000. At the end of that mortgage, let's say for example, it took a couple of years to do all the work, have the bedrooms rented out. At the end of that period, I'd be able to refinance everything out 2 years later. Maybe I'd have saved up another £30,000 from having this £1,000 a month coming in on top of what I was already saving. And then on top of that, I would have the capital appreciation. And I think I'd probably end up with about £50,000 or £60,000 for my second move. And when I think about my journey, we stayed in Durian Way for about 2, 3, 4 years, something like that. And between that period, it went from 176 to about 250,000. And again, we did do work. We put new kitchen, new bathroom, flooring, all that sort of stuff, spent about 15 grand on it, and we managed to uplift the value as well as the market working in our favour. So if I was starting out with £30,000 and I was a first time buyer and I was single and I was able to stomach living with other people, maybe I was already living in a HMO, then that would be my first move. Now the second camp of people are people who maybe already have their primary residence. They are maybe refinancing 30 grand out of that. Maybe they've saved up £30,000. What would I do in that instance? Well, now I'm not geographically tied because I'm not going to live in the property. So I've got 30 grand. I'm going to look for an area, and I'm going to talk again with my experience because I think that's the most useful way to do this. I'm going to talk about Sheffield because I know with £30,000, you can find a property that's worth 130, 120, 130, and you can negotiate that in at like 106, 104, somewhere around that sort of number. So I'm going to try and find something that needs no work or very, very little work. We're not talking new kitchen, new bathroom. We're talking painting and decorating only, and then it is fit to rent. But I'm going to try and secure a discount because £30,000 isn't enough to do any major renovations. We just have to accept that straight away, in my opinion. So I believe that the best route in that instance is to buy something that's ready to go, get a discount on the day you buy it. If you can make 15 grand or even 10 grand on the day you buy it, let's just run those numbers. If you're investing 30 and you make 10 on the day you buy it, well, you've got a 33% return on the day you complete on that property. Then you've got to get it rented out, make your returns, let the market take its effect. We know in the UK that property prices double anywhere from every 10 to every 15 years, and I'm only talking in nominal terms for everybody here. That is the number, not in real terms, and we know that that's very different when it's inflation adjusted. But if I got that £30,000 in, I bought a house for 100,000, I know on average, and again on average, that over the next 5 years that is likely to increase from 20 to 40%, anywhere in that bracket depending on the period of history that you look in. So I would probably do that. I would secure a discount on the day that I buy it. I would get myself a 2-year fixed mortgage, and I would be very, very hopeful that in that 2 years, because I've bought it at a discount and the market has been stagnant for quite some years, I believe I would have a very good chance of refinancing the majority of that £30,000 out in 2 years' time. And why is that important? Well, if I've only got this limited pot and I'm trying to buy a portfolio and get a portfolio going of many houses with a lot of money in it, then I need to be able to use other people's money. And this is the big advantage with property. You can negotiate with the seller. You can't do it with the stock market, you can't do it with gold, you can't do it with Bitcoin, you can't do it with any other investment class. But with property, you can put that property up for sale, I can solve whatever problem you have, and I'll give a great example of that. We bought a property over in Sheffield for £95,000. It was up for 110, so it was a good discount at the time we agreed to buy it in 2018. The seller was moving to Spain, but their onward purchase in Spain fell through. They asked us, can you just hold on? And regardless of how long it takes, will you still buy the property? Because we don't want to worry about having to sell the property. And we agreed. It took them 2 years. 2020 came round, the pandemic. Just after the pandemic, they moved. And we completed that, I think, in June 2020. And guess what? 2021, that same property is worth 150,000. We had secured a lease option agreement without the lease. We had just got an option agreement. We had been able to negotiate with the seller. We'll buy your property. You find whatever it is that you want. And of course, we could have pulled out at any point, but they stuck to their word. I was a bit worried they wouldn't. We bought the property for £95,000. It was worth about 150, and off they went to Spain in the summer of 2020. So guys, this is just what I would do with £30,000. I'm interested in your ideas. Put them down in the comments. If you look at any of my videos, again, until I'm at 10,000 subscribers, I'm replying to every single comment. So guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you found it useful. I will see you on the next one. I am posting 4 videos every week, and I'm not going to stop. So see you soon.